In this episode, I cover whose advice you should take. I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, they go back and forth between people in finance, people who finance entrepreneurs and they finance their ventures. And then there's others that will take a book that's, say, Good to Great, or examples of how people fail, or examples of successful businesses like Apple or Google or Facebook. And the trouble with some of these is that they're not necessarily realistic and or scalable, and what got Apple to where Apple isn't what Apple is doing now. So, an example of this, in the podcast Master of Scale, Reid Hoffman was interviewing two different people, and he was arguing on both sides of the coin for when you were raising venture capital, when you're raising capital, how much you should take. Should you take as little as possible, or on the flip side, as much as possible? And both arguments held pretty true to what Reid thought. He actually kind of agreed a little bit, but also with both sides. But also, I think the lesson here is that every situation is different. He agreed with the person who raised as little as possible and then was able to scale. And then on the flip side, he agreed with the person who raised as much money as possible because they needed it at a time when they needed the capital to grow their business. So I think the lesson here today is, who do you listen to? What advice do you take? And when does that ring true, that advice for taking as little as possible or taking as much as possible? And this is where I think it comes to gut and instinct, into personal experience, into looking inward. Recently, I had a string of personal letdowns that I was the chairman of. And so for me, it was because I didn't listen to myself. So I guess my lesson is to listen to everybody. But when you're listening to everybody, what you don't have to do is follow their words and become what they're recommending. So, for me personally, I found that I cannot take off certain days of the week. And when I was kind of pulled back from what I knew to be true as what days are most important in my work week, that was about to cost our company money. And as a partner in a business, I had a responsibility to hold true to that. And I just couldn't validate, no matter the side effects, but I couldn't validate taking off that time. And I think even listening to both sides of the coin of how to fix situations, when you listen to your gut, that's the person you should listen to, because you're the person that's making the judgment call. You're the person whose butt is on the line, and you are ultimately in charge. And that's the scary part, I think, for a lot of entrepreneurs who go through these stages of, decision making at the infinite level. What color should I use for my logo? The bottom level, and then should I hire this person? That's a big difference in a question. So for those people looking to make a decision soon, I encourage you to listen to only one person, and one person only, yourself. That's all for Coaching Coach. I'll see you soon.